I am grateful to Professor Mohammad Atiq for having invited me to exchange a few of my thoughts on this very important topic, student diversity and inclusive education. I have a few requests to you. The first request is, this topic is a special topic which needs greater attention from all of you. Please try to see the significance of the several words used in this lecture and relate to your own experience as teacher. My second request is, kindly note down the questions or queries, clarifications which you have. Please note down in your notebook. At the end of the lecture session, there will be question answer session. You can ask all your questions during that question answer session. You can note down in your notebook. My third request is, please mute your mics so that there will not be any disturbance for the lecture. See, all of you have reasonable experience, and some of you may have a few years of experience only. Whatever it is, you have been dealing with diverse learners. It's a big challenge to really do justice with diverse learners in your classrooms. So how to deal with? What is the teaching methodology which we have to use? All that I shall discuss in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. Sir, are you able to see my slide? Very clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very clear.
Thank you.
Very clear, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Then we are in the new paradigm of higher education, that is the learner-centric paradigm. This is learning outcomes-based teaching, learning, and assessment. This is activity-based. Activities carried out by the students. Teacher plans the activities by involving the students. Teacher facilitates implementation of activities, guides, motivates, and inspires the students during the learning process. It is a student-centric teaching and learning process. Student-centric education takes into account the need to know and develop the whole personality of the learner, not only giving a lecture in the classroom and leaving the hall. It's not that. To know the learner and develop the whole personality of the learner. Please see, sir, this is a very important point. To know and develop the whole personality of the learner. That is student-centric education. Enhance and facilitate learning. Foster critical thinking and sustainable thinking. Promote experiential learning. Emphasize learning through active participation. Promote collaboration and teamwork. Now, all of you must understand the term, meaning of the term, student diversity and inclusiveness. What is that? Students having different intellectual capabilities, belonging to different states, religions, regions, communities, different social backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, differently abled students, and students with special needs all studied together in the same academic program in a university or a college. They studied together in the same classroom. That is the meaning of student diversity and inclusiveness. There is no segregation of the students. Even differently abled students, there is no segregation. All study together. That is the meaning of student diversity and inclusiveness. Inclusiveness, when we say inclusiveness is not only physical inclusion by giving some reservation to the disadvantaged sections, including differently abled students. It is much more than that.
पेपर में खरीदिए गोल्ड को और पेपर में बेचिए, you will get it.
Greater autonomy in choosing the courses, appropriate teaching methods.
Dear participants, kindly follow the conductive environment. It is advised you to do not disturb and mute your mic itself. Okay, do not disturb during the session. So please continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Greater autonomy
Hello.
in choosing the courses.
Yes, sir. Please ask sir to maximize the slides.
Yes, sir. Slides will go. There is some technical issue. Slide will go like.
Okay. The slide will be. I will not
Yes,
be able to change
please
to
continue.
the slide mode. Then there will be problem of movement of slides. That's why
You will get the presentation. All the participants will get the presentation. Don't worry.
You will be distributed. You will be shared the PPT of this lecture. Greater autonomy in choosing the courses, appropriate teaching methods, learning materials, tools, and assessment methods. All the programs in the university must improve the self-efficacy of the students. The students must gain confidence that they are at par with other peers with naturally existing differences in potential and aptitude. See, teachers have to address the needs of the diverse learners in all the three domains of learning as explained below. What are the three domains of learning? The first one is cognitive domain, related to mental process, thinking process. Affective domain, related to emotions, feelings, attitudes, and values. Then psychomotor domain, which is learning demonstrated by physical skill, such as movement, coordination, manipulation, dexterity, that means skillful performance, speed, actions, which demonstrate the fine motor skills, such as the use of precision instruments or tools. So teacher have to address the needs of diverse learners in all the three domains of learning. Now, all the diverse learners must be provided appropriate opportunities to experience this Scope's learning cycle. What is Scope's learning cycle? It has 4 components. We start with concrete experience. Based on the concrete experience, the students, the learner, will have the reflection. Reflection means deep thinking about it. Then based on the reflection, there is formation of concept, conceptualization. And after the concept form is formed, then the students will have to face the new context, different contexts, unknown contexts. Then he will subject his concept to the experimentation. That is called active experimentation. Based on the active experimentation, the students will have a new experience, new concrete experience. And again, based on the new concrete experience, again reflection, again conceptualization. This time, the concept may be different, or the concept may be reinforced. One may have a deeper insight into the subject. So the cycle goes on. This is called Cope's learning cycle. It indicates that there is only beginning of learning. Learning is unlimited. Knowledge is unlimited. Therefore, when we deal with the diverse learners, we have to provide all the diverse learners with the opportunities to undergo this Cope's learning cycle. Now, learner-centered pedagogical practices. What are they? We shall discuss now. Why focus teaching on the learner? Because in our classrooms, we have diverse learners. This is the cartoon representation of the diverse learners. So the tortoise, the hare, and the deer is the cartoon representation. You may have slow learners, moderate learners, medium learners, and fast learners. And each learner is unique in nature. Everybody is unique in nature. Their backgrounds are different, right? So the species, they are totally different. So their learning styles are different. That is very important. Some students learn by using the senses. They are called sensory learners. Some students learn even by intuition. What is this intuitive learning? It is by the use of the right brain, there will be gut feeling. So the students, some of the students will be able to answer challenging questions with some kind of intuition. So there are sensory learners, which is based on the left brain activity, and there are intuitive learners also, which is based on the right brain activity. We have to deal with both kinds of learners. Then some students are inductive learners. Some students learn by deductive method. What is this inductive and deductive? When we use examples, experiences of students, we take examples and then have active participation of the students in the lecture. Then the students themselves will make generalizations. Students themselves will make definitions. So that is called inductive method. So deductive method means we state the theorem, we go on explaining the theorem, we solve a problem, and then we ask the students to work out the problem. That is deductive method. In some cases, we use inductive method. In some cases, we use deductive method. Some students can easily follow whether you use inductive method or deductive method. But some students follow easily when you use deductive method, when you go on explaining everything step by step. Then some students are active learners, some students are reflective learners. Active learners, immediately they come out with answers, right? There are few in your classrooms, but reflective learners, they need time to think about, then they will also come out with correct answer. One of the common mistakes of the teachers, most of the teachers is that we ask questions, but we don't give enough time for the students to answer. If you students answer quickly, we are satisfied. No, we must give opportunity to all the students, sir, in a period of 1 week time, 3 or 4 classes. Even if in large classes, 60 students are in your classroom, in 3 periods, over a time period of 3 periods, you should be able to give opportunity to all the 60 students to answer your questions. When you ask questions, give them enough time to answer. So the reflective learners also will be able to answer. And some students learn sequentially, step by step. You go on explaining step by step, they will be able to learn. Whereas some students are global learners. That means, you see, they will be able to connect things very fast, connect different concepts, connect different disciplines of knowledge also. As a teacher, I used to start teaching sequentially so that I will be able to meet all the learners. Even global learners also can understand easily when you use the sequential approach. Then after the unit is over, I used to spend 1 hour to show the students the interconnections. So then they all become global learners by the time the semester is completed. Approaches to learning, pace of intellectual development are different. Students come from different cultural and socio-economic backgrounds. We have to consider those things. Their self-efficacy is very less. We have to see that their self-efficacy is improved in course of time. Then you have differently abled students in some of the classrooms. You have to provide the necessary facilities for them to learn at par with the other students, the infrastructural facilities. Even for blind students, all the facilities which can make them learn effectively as the other abled students, you should provide in the classrooms. Only then you can say you have made the necessary arrangement for the diverse learners. Please reflect upon this, sir. Learn from the learner. Please reflect upon this for half a minute. Instruction begins when you, the teacher, learn from the learner. Put yourself in his place so that you may understand what he learns and the way he understands it. Please reflect upon this for 30 seconds. Sir, I started my journey in the teaching profession on 2nd January 1978. During the first month of my teaching itself, I realized that I should observe my students, how they understand. Based on their understanding the concepts, I used to reorient myself. In every class, I used to reorient myself to see that my students understand. I used to put myself in their place and plan my teaching learning strategies. However, in the classroom, I used to switch over spontaneously from one method to another method. Then I see that most of the students are not able to understand. So that kind of spontaneity is also very much essential. So that is how I have been continuing my teaching reorienting my teaching strategies by considering my students in every batch. The same strategies I do not use in every batch. I will be changing my teaching learning strategies when the batch of students change. Please go through this another quotation by Swami Vivekananda. The true teacher is he who can immediately come down to the level of the learner, transfer his soul to the student's soul, sees him through his mind, and understands him through his mind. Such teachers alone can teach, and none else, by Swami Vivekananda. You may believe in soul, you may not believe in soul. Leave that point, but come down to the level of the learner. sees him through his mind, understands him through his mind. Such teachers alone can teach. Such teachers alone can meet the needs of diverse learners. That is very, very important. Such teachers alone can do justice to student diversity and inclusive education. In order to facilitate the learning outcomes among the students, as per the intended course learning outcomes, teachers must equip themselves with the following, namely, subject knowledge mastery. What do we mean by subject knowledge mastery? Is it reciting the textbook from page 1 to the last page? That is not the mastery of knowledge. You should be able to answer any question asked by the students. You should be able to solve any kind of problem, unknown case studies. For that, you should have worked hundreds of problems before you take up instruction of a particular course. That is the meaning of mastery. In terms of Bloom's taxonomy, you should be at apply level, analyze level, evaluate level, and create level. That is the highest level, right? You should be able to design new software. You should be able to design new algorithms. You should be able to write new poetry. You should be able to write new novels, right? You should be able to devise new mechanisms. You should be able to give new ideas. All that, right? You should be able to design new products. You should be able to synthesize new materials. You should be capable of all that. Only then you will be able to do justice in the teaching profession. Then second one is pedagogy, appropriate teaching methods. See, you should be thorough with all the possible teaching methods. Then, depending upon the batch of students, depending upon the topic, you will be preparing with more than one method and go to the class. Always remember, more than one method, 2 methods or 3 methods. So in the classroom interaction, you revert or you switch over from one method to another method very easily, spontaneous. So you should have command on pedagogy. Then only you can choose appropriate teaching learning strategy. This is very important, sir. Mastery of knowledge is very important, but pedagogy is equally important. Then third one, integrating ICT in teaching and learning. That is very important, sir. Today's teachers, you can create excitement by animated PPTs, not verbal PPTs, animated PPTs only. You can create excitement by 2 to 3 minutes videos. You can make use of online assessment tools, which can give you analytics. How many students have understood your class? You can save a lot of time also. So integrating ICT into classroom teaching is the most desirable thing today, sir. So all these three, please equip yourselves. Subject knowledge mastery, pedagogy, appropriate teaching methods, integrating ICT into teaching learning process appropriately. Don't overuse again ICT, sir. Overuse of ICT is not desirable, sir. You have to integrate into pedagogy. So pedagogy and ICT, mastery of subject knowledge, you will have both science and art of what is called integrating them, and then you can deliver your lecture, interactive lecture session very well. Learner-centered pedagogical practices must emphasize active learning by students, not simply listening to your lecture, sir. Listening to your lecture is very important, sir. With total attention is very important, but that is not considered as active learning. They can take notes, that is also important, sir, but that is not considered as active learning. Students must do some activity by themselves. either problem solving, case study analysis, group discussion, question answer session. They should be engaged. Student engagement inside the classroom and outside the classroom is the key in active learning strategies based on activities carried out by the students inside the classroom and outside the classroom. Therefore, all of you must have clarity on what is active learning. Any instruction method that engages students in the learning process. In short, active learning requires students to do meaningful learning activities and think about what they are doing, not mechanically doing activities. And think about what they are doing. This is active learning. Please reflect upon this, sir. Learning is not the product of teaching. It does not mean there should not be teaching. There should be teaching, no doubt about it. But learning is the product of activity of learners. That is important. We may explain the concept, but that does not result in total understanding of the concept. To some extent, the students understand. But when they do some activity, as I mentioned, problem solving, doing a mini project or group discussion, question answer session, whatever, case study analysis, whatever it is, then their understanding will be deeper. They will have a deep understanding into the subject. This is important. Please reflect upon this. Learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of activity of learners. See, by the time they graduate, they should be independent learners. They should be able to learn many things by themselves without any teaching. That is the purpose of our teaching, sir. We should make them independent learners. Please reflect upon this, sir. Learning pyramid. By using lecture alone, the average retention rate is 5%. By using the technique reading alone, then 10%. Audio-visual aids, 20%. Demonstration of an experiment or a working model, 30%. Discussion, group discussion, 50%. Practice by doing, 75%. Teach others and immediate use of learning, 90%. You please reflect upon this, sir. So, what best we can do? We cannot avoid lecture. Lecturing is necessary, sir. All of you agree with me that lecturing is necessary. But only lecturing is of no use. It has average retention rate of only 5%. Along with the lecturing, you use either audio-visual aid or demonstration of an experiment or a working model. This is the motivation phase. By using audio aids or demonstration of an experiment or a working model, students will be motivated, sir. You will be drawing attention of the students. Students will be connected with you. Students will be connected with the subject, that particular topic which you are teaching. That is very important. The motivation phase is very important. So along with the lecture, you use audio-visual aid or demonstration expert. Then this is active learning phase, group discussion. Practice by doing, right? Practice by doing means some problem, some case study analysis, some experiment, all that comes under practice by doing. Group discussion, right? So maybe 3 members in a group discussion. Then teach others, student seminars. I always advise that there should be 1 credit for student seminar in every semester. Students should choose a topic which is not in the syllabus, outside the syllabus. Then they prepare the material Then they deliver the lecture, not through PPT, by using a whiteboard or a blackboard. So then teaching is the best way of learning, sir. So then the retention rate is 90%. Immediate use of learning. A particular subject, if it is used immediately, right, there is a need of it immediately. Maybe because of that, the student may expect a job immediately after graduation. Then the student will put in greater effort, greater attention, and try to master the subject, master the knowledge and skills. Then the retention rate is 90%, sir. But you use the techniques appropriately, right? So then, so that the average retention rate is at least 50%, at least 50%. Appropriate combination of strategies you use, that in the classroom, at least 50% average retention rate is there. Then you give the home assignments. By practice, another 25% is added. So to the extent of 75% to 80%, you can bring up the average retention rate. The remaining 20 to 25%, the students in their profession later, by independent learning, they will be learning and learning and learning. There is nothing like learning 100% and I have learned 100%. No, nothing like that. There is only learning and continuum of learning. These are some of the active learning strategies, sir, which every one of you must be thorough with, right? I'm not giving all details here, but some of those I shall be explaining, right? But you have to be equipped with all these learning strategies. Learning by doing, right? Learning by doing means doing an experiment, solving a problem, right? Analyzing a case study, that all that comes with doing an experiment, all that comes learning by doing by the students, hands-on experience by the students. Learning through discussion among the peer group, learning through case studies. I shall explain one by one in course of my lecture. Then group projects through field studies, problem-oriented guided inquiry learning, POGIL, experiential learning, reflective learning, 1-minute paper through classroom interaction. I shall explain what is this 1-minute paper during the classroom interaction. You may not have heard of it earlier. You see, when you start the class, when you start the instruction, you inform the students, as I informed at the beginning of my lecture today. Whenever you have a doubt, as I explain, I go on explaining, you may have some question. You may have some muddy point, unclear point. Note down on a piece of paper. Sir, here I am not clear. Please explain once again. Like that, let every student, whoever has understood any particular concept, note down on a piece of paper. After 15 to 20 minutes, let the class representative collect all the papers. So the common questions will be addressed by the teacher and clarified by using another method. You have used one method, students could not understand. Then what is the use of using the same method, sir? Then please use another method, so that the students can understand easily by another method. So that another method, how do you select? So there is role of creativity in teaching. And with experience, you will be having much more what is called spontaneity based on your experience. But creativity can be there even among the young faculty members, right? Open-ended questions by the teacher, very important. Open-ended questions from students. Collect the question in a question bowl taken around the class. Questions please, questions please, questions please. Like that, the class representative goes around the class, collect the questions in the question bowl, and the teacher will answer the questions later. Preparation of the question bank by students at various cognitive levels. Important note, we have to reorient our teaching strategies based on the discipline, based on the course, and update ourselves dynamically as the generations of the students change. So there is a continuous need for continuous learning of the subject. There is a need continuous upgradation, updating our knowledge about pedagogy. There is a continuous need for learning more and more about integrating ICT into classroom teaching. As the generations change, the same strategies will not work out. The strategies which worked out well for one batch of students may not work out well with another batch of students. Please reflect upon this, sir. Please reflect upon this. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. Right. What a beautiful quotation by John Dewey. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. I saw many teachers who use the same strategies, the same style of learning for years together. They do not bother whether the students have understood or not. They do not bother whether the learning has taken place among the students. What is the use of our teaching unless the students learn? What is important is that the students must learn. Accordingly, we go on changing our strategies. We should not use the same strategies of the last year. Again, we have to rediscover and reorient ourselves which strategies will work out better for this batch of students. And the same strategies which work out for one course may not work out for another course. We have to change the strategies for it when you teach a different course. It's very important, sir. It is dynamic. So these are the recommended videos. My YouTube channel name is Professor B.B. Apparao. These are the recommended videos. Learning outcomes based active learning strategies, part 1, part 2. Socratic method of teaching and learning, teacher-student relationship. You go to the channel Professor B.B. Apparao and type this, you can easily get these videos. They will be of great use to you. I have explained in detail all about that. Now, one by one, I shall explain all the active learning strategies. Learning by doing, most important. I consider learning by doing, by hands-on session, is the most important activity in teaching learning strategy. Use of free and open source software, FOSS. Spoken tutorials of IIT Bombay. This is the website, Spoken Tutorials of IIT Bombay. They provide online courses on C++, R programming, and several courses. A few lakhs of students have already been trained in several courses. They will also organize courses for the faculty. Don't miss those courses, sir. I was greatly benefited when I have attended a 12-week FDP after my retirement at the age of 65. It was an excellent course organized by IIT Bombay, Spoken Tutorials. For 3D modeling, FreeCAD is the most important free and open source alternative in place of commercial softwares. You have, when you teach engineering or science or social sciences, you have several tools now available, open source tools. You don't have to purchase any commercial softwares for teaching any discipline of knowledge. Today, free and open source tools are available. Octave is the Linux community solution for MATLAB. MATLAB is very expensive, but you can use Octave. Scilab is another alternative for MATLAB, very strongly advocated by IIT Bombay and other institutions. FreeMat provides environment similar to MATLAB for data processing and analysis. Free and open source big data processing tools, Apache Storm, Apache Hadoop, Apache Samoa. Open source artificial technologies in machine learning, TensorFlow 2015 is an open source machine learning framework. It is created by Google for supporting its research and production of objectives. TensorFlow is now widely used by several companies, including Dropbox, eBay, Intel, Twitter, and Uber. Free and open source softwares to teach VLSI design codes. You have Electric, Magic, Alliance. I am giving examples for a few disciplines. So I have given for several examples here for some other disciplines also. So again, my YouTube channel name, Professor B.B. Apparao. These are the recommended videos. Open Educational Resource and Creative Commons Licensing, Part 1 and Part 2. Open Educational Resources in India. Then case study is an active learning strategy, which can be used in all subjects, in science, engineering, social sciences, humanities, management, etc., all disciplines of thought. You can make the best use of case study. Case study method fosters active learning among the students and learning at higher cognitive levels. In terms of Bloom's taxonomy, higher cognitive levels means apply level, analyze level, evaluate level, and create level. I used to teach corrosion science as an open elective to all branches of engineering at NIT Warangal. So I used to explain the principles and the concepts involved in the subject corrosion. Then I used to give case studies like Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984, wherein millions of people were affected by this Bhopal gas tragedy. All of you may be knowing, maybe have heard of it, 1984. Right. Then Visakhapatnam oil refinery by an explosion. Very simple problem of corrosion. Petroleum pipeline catching fire in East Godavari district, Andhra Pradesh. Corrosion problem in swimming pool. Corrosion problems in bridges, ships, building structures in the form of real-time photographs. I used to discuss some of these in the classroom. I was only a facilitator. The students will analyze these case studies, diagnose the problems, and come out with different solutions. Then I give some more case studies to their home assignment. From the open educational resources, I used to get some more case studies. I used to give them. Teaching and learning of geotechnical engineering can be made more interesting with the use of field visits to construction projects and case studies. So this is the geotechnical investigation site. Similarly, see in social sciences, many things students can learn by visiting the society. Students of cooperation can learn many things by visiting the cooperative societies, cooperative banks, instead of classroom. That is the field visits. Right, sir? Similarly, students of all social sciences can learn many things by having total interaction with the society in terms of field visits. Very, very important for social sciences, and engineering. Case study of failure of pile foundation. This failure could be said to be due to improper or bad geotechnical engineering practices. The pile foundation was supporting a multi-story building in Shanghai in China. The failure occurred due to excavated soft clay soil on one side being piled up on the other side of the building. Details of the case study are available in the paper, in the articles by Subramanian et al., 2009. So this is the building which collapsed because of wrong geotechnical practices, because of wrong pile foundation. So the students can learn in greater depth by using these case studies. Then Dunmore Bridge at Woodville, Australia. This is the paper which discussed geotechnical engineering via finite element analysis. This is the abstract of the paper. Then learning through discussion, which can be implemented in all disciplines of knowledge. The name of this method is called Think, Group, Share Activity, TGS activity. All of you can make the best use of this once in 3 or 4 classes, not in every class. It is not possible to do it in every class. It is not advisable. But once in every 3 to 4 classes, you can use this Think, Group, Share activity. It does wonders. This is the feedback given to me by my participants in the workshops. They are using it. Hundreds of my participants are using in their classrooms this Think, Group, Share activity. I'll explain this. The first thing is you have to design carefully an unknown problem which has, if possible, which has more than one solution. That is better. That's okay. If it is not possible, you design a problem which is at apply level, analyze level, right? For example, a case study you can design as a problem. You can give it to them, the students. First point. Second point is the students must be divided into mixed groups. Mixed groups. When I say mixed groups, one slow learner, one moderate learner, one fast learner. Don't brand them. Don't brand them. You are slow learner, you are moderate learner, you are fast learner. Without branding them, form the mixed groups. In each bench, there will be mixed group, one group in each bench, right? So if you have very large benches, let there be 2 groups sitting side by side, but 3 students in each group. And then you have designed a problem, a case study or a problem, not a theory question, a problem or a case study, right? And then you have given the problem to the groups. What is this Think, Group, Share study? So first phase is think phase. The teacher asks the students to think about this case study, try to analyze it briefly and note down in his notebook, in his or her notebook. That is the think phase. Teacher will go on monitoring how the students are spending their time in thinking and noting down individually. That means if there are 60 students in the class, all the 60 students must be involved in the think phase. Then group phase. Now the teacher will ask the students in the group, now you exchange your ideas in the group. Come to an unanimous conclusion about the analysis. Suppose they may not come to, they don't want to come to analysis, unanimous idea. Let there be 2 solutions from the same group. No issue at all, sir. So there may be sharing of ideas, and then that means they spend more time here. So 5 minutes or 6 minutes. That is group phase. Then share phase. Suggested duration is 10 minutes. So teacher asks each group to present their solutions. He facilitates the discussion and leads the students towards deep learning. Group A may come out with some solution, some approach. Group C may say, no, sir, we don't agree with that. We have a different approach. Group I may come and say, sir, we do not agree with the group A or group C. We have still a different approach. Therefore, as I mentioned, you please try to give open-ended problems, open-ended case studies, not close-ended, not with only one solution, only with one answer. Then it won't be interesting. You can carry out that also, but it won't be interesting. It will be more interesting if you give open-ended case study. So now students will ask challenging questions in this process, and other students will answer. So if nobody is able to answer, the teacher will answer. So here teacher is only the facilitator. So the idea is to see that in the think phase, all the students are involved. In group phase also, all the students are involved. In share phase also, all the students are involved. It's a very active learning strategy, and the students are connected with the subject, connected with each other, connected with the teacher. It's a wonderful experience to both the teacher and the students. At the end of the strategy, teacher and students experience that new knowledge is constructed in the classroom by the students. Constructivist approach, which was advocated strongly by educational psychologists like Piaget, Vygotsky, Brunner, John Dewey, constructivist approach. Teacher plays the role of motivator and facilitator towards deep learning. Inclusiveness may be taken care of while forming the groups in implementing this activity. Then smart board, an interactive whiteboard, most important tool for active learning in digital classrooms. Videos, PPTs, discussion, interaction can be integrated in this when you use the smart board. I used to demonstrate how best we can use smart board in various offline workshops at NIT Warangal. Right? We used to have 1 month workshops, a 1 month FIP for a group of 40 participants. There I used to demonstrate on the first or second day. Then the evenings, the participants used to practice how best they can make use of the smart board. Very important smart board. Videos, PPTs, discussion, interaction, all can be integrated. Even recorded, the entire lesson can be recorded, as now recording is going on as I give lecture and later when you ask me questions. So the recorded lessons with classroom interaction can be used by students again and again. Smart board and Wi-Fi connectivity together can make a complete digital classroom which facilitates active learning. Smart board consists of touch sensitive whiteboard, computer, software, LCD projector, but still not cost effective for use in all the classrooms in many institutions in the country. Other operational and management problems of smart boards in higher educational institutions. Once it is cost effective, it will be an excellent tool. It is only a tool in the hands of great teachers. How best you can make use of the smart board, it depends on the teachers and the students. Smart board is only a tool. Small group projects for cooperative learning. So I suggest that in every course, you can have mini projects. In every course, it is possible. You please think over, sir. There should be such flexibility in all the colleges and universities to use the project method of learning. Mini project, maybe having a weightage of 20 marks or out of 100 marks, mini project. Besides the major project in the final year, right? In the 4th year for 4 credits, right? But every course, it is possible to have mini project to an extent of a weightage of 20% or so. So when you organize mini project, you use jigsaw method only. Please remember this, jigsaw project method only. What is jigsaw project method, sir? When you give the project, you design the project in such a way that the project has 3 different tasks. And the group, it's a group project, the group should consist of 3 students. Group project consists of 3 tasks and the group consists of 3 students. Right? So let the students take the project in the list of projects given by you based on their interest and aptitude. Then let them choose, let them distribute the tasks among themselves. 1 student, 1 task. Each student completes the task chosen by him. Peer learning is encouraged. They can discuss among themselves. No problem. Because it's a mixed group. Again, a slow learner, a moderate learner, and a fast learner. If there are blind students, deaf and dumb students, students with other disabilities, they should not be segregated. They should be in different groups. Here, each student will complete the task. After all the 3 students complete their task, you integrate the outcomes of the task. That will be the outcome of the project. That is how you have to design the project in such a way. I shall give you an example related to corrosion. So I present a corrosion problem. I ask the students, you come out with solutions to solve this problem. This is a case study. So one student, how do you solve? By choosing one proper design and material selection. Another student, how do you prevent corrosion? By cathodic protection. Third student, how do you prevent corrosion? By surface coatings. Like that, I give 3 different tasks and each student has come out with a solution for each different task. Then I integrate. At the end of the project, the students integrate. Then it becomes the outcome of the project, corrosion prevention of a particular problem, solution to the corrosion prevention of a problem. That is possible. In every discipline of knowledge, you can think of such projects which involve 3 different tasks, and jigsaw method is used in executing group projects, mini projects. Once they do many projects, many program outcomes are achieved. Many graduate attributes are achieved by the students. Such projects done by the students promote active learning, and many other interpersonal skills are possible. Scaffolding of slow learners by the peers is also possible. Interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary projects related to design problems lead to innovations and building of the prototypes. Inclusiveness may be taken care of while forming the groups. Special tools for differently abled students must be made available in the classrooms and hostels in order to enable them to learn effectively without any disadvantage in the active learning strategies implemented by the teachers. That environment must be created by these institutions. In case of continuous and comprehensive assessment also, care must be taken that differently abled students do not have any disadvantage. If necessary, different assessment methods with due weightages may be implemented. This is very important. This is implemented in some of the universities like University of Hyderabad for differently abled students. Different assessment methods, and they are given more time than other abled students. It's a good practice to provide one caretaker for a group of blind students staying in hostels. That practice I have seen in University of Hyderabad. Guidelines for conducting written examination for persons with benchmark disabilities. Salient points. The faculty of scribe or reader or lab assistant should be allowed to any personalized benchmark disability as defined under section, etc., etc. The candidate should have the discretion of opting for his own scribe or reader or lab assistant. If he is not able to find, they can request the examination section to give them a scribe or a reader or a lab assistant as applicable. In case the examination body provides the scribe, reader or lab assistant, the qualification of the scribe should not be higher than the minimum qualification required. This is given by UGC. All these guidelines are given by UGC 2018. All the colleges and universities must follow these guidelines. The candidate should also be allowed to have more than one scribe for different papers, especially for different languages. For English, a different scribe, Hindi, different scribe. For other regional language, mother tongue, different scribe. For persons who make use of scribe, compensatory time, that means additional time, should not be less than 20 minutes per hour of the examination time. If you have 3 hours examination for the abled students, differently abled students, you should give minimum 4 hours time. Minimum 4 hours time. For persons who do not make use of a scribe also, compensatory time should not be less than 20 minutes per hour of the examination time. A few sources of open educational resources. You can make the best use of these open educational resources in teaching. So the MIT Open Courseware, which was the first open educational resource. Sir, open educational resources are most valuable for you to select the best lecture notes, to select the assignment questions, to select the case studies, to select the problems for think, group, share activity. You can select the best possible videos to create excitement. You can select the best possible animated PPTs. Like that, you can make the best use of open educational resources for your discipline. Just because it is open educational resource, please don't underestimate that. Great philanthropists have donated huge amounts to organize the open educational resources. Great professors are involved in contributing to these open educational resources. Kindly make the best use of these open educational resources to deal with challenges in student diversity and inclusive education. So what are the best practices elsewhere to deal with blind students? What are the best practices elsewhere to deal with diverse learners? You can learn from these open educational resources. You can get the materials also from these open educational resources. I request all of you, I appeal to all of you to make the best use of open educational resources, not only your textbook. Textbook can be only one of the resources. So I have given the list here. Among the list, NPTEL is one open educational resource from India, and Spoken Tutorial IIT Bombay also another open educational resource from India. This is the list of open educational resources. You can go through the list when the PPT is shared with you. You can choose, even open textbooks also are available. They will be very useful for as the teacher reference textbooks. If you think those textbooks can be followed very easily by your students, you can prescribe them as one of the reference books also in your courses, so that there is no need for spending any money. It will be useful, especially for poor students who cannot purchase even textbooks. There are many in the country. So open source textbooks can also be prescribed as one of the reference books. Open educational resources in India, you have NPTEL courses, video lectures for different courses by professors from IITs and IISc Bangalore. They are available. Lecture notes for different courses. I have made use of the lecture notes for the topic corrosion. The lecture notes prepared by Professor Natarajan of IISc Bangalore on corrosion. I have made use of the lecture notes. These video lectures and lecture notes can also be used by the teacher appropriately in the related courses. Swayam study webs of active learning for young aspiring minds. This is the program. Swayam is the program of MHRD, Government of India. It's Swayam. It's an indigenous IT platform that facilitates posting of all the courses taught in classrooms from 9th class till post-graduation. The only desirable point is that course must be in the curriculum, right? Whether it is 9th standard or 10th standard or undergraduate program or postgraduate program, it must be there in the curriculum. All these Swayam courses are highly interactive courses, sir, prepared by the best teachers in the country and free of cost to the residents in India. But for other countries, they have to pay for that for when they register, because other students from other countries also make the best use of these Swayam courses. They register for Swayam courses, but they have to pay fees as per the rules. More than 1,000 specially chosen faculty and teachers from across the country have participated in preparing these courses. The courses hosted on Swayam are in 4 quadrants. In the first quadrant, there is a video lecture. Students can watch the video lecture and learn the content. The video lecture is explained very clearly with good pronunciation that can be understood by even the rural students also. Like that, the video lectures are prepared. Then in the quadrant 2, you have specially prepared reading material that can be downloaded and printed. So students can learn by watching the video lecture again and again. Then students can learn by reading the specially prepared reading material that can be downloaded and printed again and again, several times. So after watching the video lecture and after reading the print material, then they can subject themselves to a self-assessment quiz, self-assessment test. If they are able to do well in the self-assessment test, they can be very comfortable. They can move forward. If they are not able to do well, they can watch again the video. They can read the printed material again and again thoroughly, and again they can subject themselves to the self-assessment test. Right? So one can make use of these Swayam courses anywhere, anytime. Right? And UGC also has given a guideline that some of the credits can be earned by the students by registering in the Swayam courses in the curriculum. They must be in the curriculum. Please note this point, not outside the curriculum. Then the 4th quadrant, you have an online discussion forum for clearing the doubts. Online, suppose 1,000 students have registered for the course. So one student puts a question in the online discussion forum. So some other students may answer. So based on the answer, some other students can put further questions. Questions and answers, questions and answers. If 1,000 students have registered for the course, all 1,000 students can interact. So therefore it's an interactive, what is called lecture, highly interactive, very useful. So sometimes even they are educated to the teacher also. Teacher also can be one of the participants in the learning process. Highly educated. You may have heard of the learning management systems. There are several learning management systems. One example is Moodle, is the learning management system. There also you have online discussion forum. There also you have video lecture. There also you have printed material. There also you have self-assessment quiz. There also you have online discussion forum. These 4 quadrants are also there in every learning management system. And your university or college can also make best use of Moodle as an online learning management system. Besides the SWAYAM courses, you can advise your students to register simultaneously to the SWAYAM courses. You may be teaching very well, but let him register in the SWAYAM course also. It will supplement his learning. He will be learning much more deeply. You are teaching, he is learning from you. He is also learning by registering in the SWAYAM course. Right. So especially for some of the difficult courses, it is advisable to ask the students, you may be teaching very well, but let him have the advantage of using another resource, that is SWAYAM course. SWAYAM Prabha, it's a group of 32 DTH channels devoted to telecasting of high quality educational programs on 24/7 basis using GSAT 15 satellite. So this is the website for SWAYAM Prabha. The home page gives us the list of channels among which we can choose the channels related to our subject. Channels 1 to 10, video lectures developed by Consortium for Education Communication of UGC for some subjects. You can find out whether your subject is listed in for video lectures in channels 1 to 10. Please find out. Most of the sciences, social sciences, humanities, commerce subjects will be there in channels 1 to 10. Channels 11 to 8 and 30, video lectures developed by NPTEL for some subjects. So here most of them are for engineering, science and management, channels 11 to 18 and 30. Channel 29, video lectures developed by Quality Enhancement in Engineering Education, IIT Madras. It is exclusively devoted to IIT Madras. Channels 23 to 26, video lectures developed by IGNOU for some subjects. Channels 19 to 22, video lectures developed by IIT PAL. IIT PAL means IIT Professors Assisted Learning for Maths, Physics, Chemistry and Biology. These channels 19 to 22 are essentially for 12th, 11th and 12th class students. If your children or your brothers or sisters are in 12th class, then you can advise them to go through the channels 19 to 20. They are very good lectures by the IIT professors. Channels 27 to 28, video lectures developed by National Institute of Open Schooling. Channel 31, video lectures developed by NCERT. Channel 32, video lectures developed by IGNOU or NIOS. Now, right kind of teacher-student relationship is necessary to deal with student diversity and inclusiveness in higher education. Right kind of teacher-student relationship is necessary to deal with student diversity and inclusiveness in higher education. This is very, very important subject. I shall stop here. I shall resume further after a break of 15 minutes. So it is 4:21 now. We shall resume our session at 4:36. This is the appropriate time because this is very, very important subject So I should not break this again into parts. So there should be continuity of knowledge. We shall best time to break now and continue our session exactly at 4:37. Thank you very much. "4:37 we shall continue, sir.
Sir.
Dear friends, shall we resume now the session? It is 4:37. Shall we resume the session now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, fine. See, so far we have tried to understand what is student diversity and inclusive education, and how we modify our teaching learning strategies, active learning strategies to meet the needs of diverse learners, because their learning styles are different, their needs are different. We have also discussed several active learning strategies and also open educational resources, including Swayam and Swayam Prabha. My dear friends, I advise all of you to equip yourselves with different pedagogical approaches, methods, and practices, and also to equip with several free and open educational resources, free and open source softwares and other tools related to your discipline of knowledge. Please remember always that mastery of knowledge in your discipline and frontier areas, several mastery of pedagogy, and the skill of integrating ICT in the best possible way into the teaching learning process. On a continuous basis, please equip yourselves. I have the mission of propagating my expertise and knowledge, especially in the area of pedagogy, to as many young faculty as possible. Therefore, nearly 30 videos are available in my channel, all dealing with pedagogy only. If you want to be a good teacher, definitely you should have expertise in pedagogy. I have a sincere advice to all of you. Please go through those videos. They are essentially prepared by keeping the ground realities of the Indian context, the lack of resources, and several other issues we are facing in higher education. So you can have additional resource material in the form of those videos for having expertise in pedagogy. I have only referred to a few videos, but there are videos for every aspect of pedagogy. Now, I am going to discuss with teacher-student relationship, and right kind of teacher-student relationship is necessary to deal with student diversity and inclusiveness in higher education. I suggest that all of you reflect upon this subject. When you were students, what were your expectations about the teacher-student relationship when you were students? And how you are maintaining teacher-student relationship when you are faculty members? Please reflect upon both. Active learning strategies are important. Learner-centered pedagogical practices are important. But I am stressing on this point, sir. Please listen to me. Without right kind of teacher-student relationship, it is not possible to address student diversity and inclusive education. Active learning strategies are important. Learning-centered pedagogical practices are important. But teacher-student relationship is equally important. Learner-centered pedagogical practices, active learning strategies can fulfill the need of the student in cognitive domain and psychomotor domain. But what is the role of affective domain? All those cannot fill the need of affective domain of learning, which is related to emotions, emotional feelings, attitudes, values, interests of the students. That affective domain can be influenced only by right kind of teacher-student relationship. I am presenting before you the right kind of teacher-student relationship based on my experience, based on my practice, based on how I conducted myself as teacher for several years. The first point, mutual trust and respect are very important in teacher-student relationship. I always hear words that students should respect the teacher. I say it is two-way process. Students must respect teachers, but teachers also must respect students. Students must trust the teacher. Teachers also must trust the student. It is a two-way process, not one way. This is the most important, sir. I used to respect my students. I used to trust my students. In turn, they used to respect me and they used to trust me. It is mutual. When it is mutual only, there is connectedness between the teacher and student. There is an impact of the teacher in the affective domain of the student. The student's attitude will be totally changed by the right kind of teacher-student relationship. I can give hundreds of examples of my students, not one example. When the teachers are respected for their expertise and appreciated for their faith in students' abilities, students seek their help, guidance, and encouragement. In turn, the students are appreciated for their willingness to take responsibility, become involved, and do the work needed to succeed. That is important, sir. That is the key point. Students are appreciated for their willingness to take responsibility, become involved actively, and do the work needed to succeed. That is very important. Most of the teachers show authority in relationship with their students. and believe that only then the students will be under their control and do the task assigned to them. This I observed in most of my colleagues. They used to argue with me. You give total freedom to the students, total autonomy to the students, but how you are able to manage your students submit the task assignments in time? Even I used to get the feedback from my students. They never wanted somebody to control them. As teachers, I am questioning. Do you want to be controlled by your head of the department or the principal? You want the autonomy. That is true. As we want the autonomy, our students also want the autonomy. Even a child wants the autonomy. Autonomy is very important, sir. That is in the human nature. Any kind of authority has a negative impact on the relationship with students. Authority breeds fear. Fear destroys the innate abilities of the students, including creativity, spontaneity, inquisitiveness, questioning attitude, and above all, motivation to learn. Students will not actively participate in the learning process. They are not connected with you. They are not happy with you. Any kind of authority and control leads to repulsion among the students. They always see when your classes will be over and they can get relaxed. They're always in anxiety. They're always in insecurity. They're always in tension. Any kind of learning can happen when the students are relaxed. The students enjoy your classes. The students are connected with you completely. That is very important, sir. It is necessary, but when you take the undergraduate classes, first year classes, already our students are in fear because they have experienced fear in their classrooms with the teachers up to +2. They have faced many teachers who control them. Their minds are already conditioned with fear. Therefore, during the first few classes, we have to dispel fear, deliberately dispel fear. How do we dispel fear? By maintaining right kind of teacher-student relationship. I do not mean that you give total false freedom to the students. Right kind of freedom is associated with accountability and greater responsibility. Please remember, not false freedom. Students can understand very well whether it is right kind of freedom or false freedom. I am telling right kind of relationship. I am not telling liberal things. No. There is code of conduct. The students have to obey the code of conduct in the laboratory, in the library, in the classroom. And there is code of conduct for teachers also. Teachers also have to obey the code of conduct. It is for both. That is important. It is necessary that the teachers dispel fear among the students by building positive relationship with them in first few classes. We play the role of facilitator for learning. We may use the phrases like, let us investigate, let us learn together, and appreciate the students for their effort in learning, then that leads to motivation. A small little effort you appreciate, that leads to motivation for learning. Building positive teacher-student relationship. Sir, assist the students as instructor, facilitator, guide, and mentor. There are 4 roles, sir, for the teacher. As instructor, again as instructor, you implement learner-centered pedagogical practices, active learning strategies as instructor. You are a facilitator of learning. You are also guide. You are also a mentor. These are the 4 roles, sir, for every teacher. Not giving a lecture and leaving the class. Then you cannot do justice to student diversity and inclusive education. Only when you play the roles of instructor, facilitator, guide, and mentor, you can do justice to student diversity and inclusive education. Encourage students, always encourage students. Understand students and their needs. Foster learning that is relevant to the learner's needs. Pay special attention to the students with special needs and differently abled students. This is very important. We must pay special attention. Give importance to continuum of increasing student responsibility for decision making. Teachers have to transfer their control and students have to take greater responsibility, sir. This is the key. Teachers have to transfer the control and students have to take greater responsibility for their learning. Who is ultimately getting benefited in the form of grades and knowledge and skills? Mainly the student, then the teacher. Therefore, student has to be responsible for their learning, accountable for their learning. Please reflect upon this, sir. As teacher, please reflect upon this. This is a quotation by a great teacher, H.G. Ginott, who is the author of many books, great books. I was greatly benefited by studying those books. Responsibility is fostered by allowing children or students, here you change this as students, by allowing students a voice and wherever indicated a choice in matters that affect them. Responsibility is fostered by allowing the students a voice, very important, and wherever indicated a choice in matters that affect them. That is how choice-based credit system, UGC asked every college to implement choice-based credit system. A voice in all matters connected with them, whether it is in Senate, Academic Senate, or Academic Council, or Board of Studies, they should be consulted in taking decisions. In all matters connected with the students should be involved. That is very important. We should listen to them. Their voice is very important. Because after all, we are taking decisions for their benefit, for their welfare, for their learning. So let us listen to them, how they feel. Let us involve them in decision making. That is important. Building positive relationship with students continue. Greet students warmly when they arrive each day. Be affectionate with students. Show respect and caring for every student without any partiality. Even underperforming students, even mischievous students deserve the same respect. Don't be partial in showing more respect to better performers. No, that is wrong. You are differentiating the students. Students do not like to be differentiated. Even the best performers also, they do not like to be differentiated. Please remember this point. Every student needs the same respect. There are 60 students in your class. All 60 need the same respect, irrespective of their background, social background, cultural background, performance in your course, their obedience. Some may be obedient to you, some may not be obedient to you. Irrespective of all that, teachers have to show the same respect to all the students. That is the uniqueness of the teaching profession and the teacher. That is where the teacher is different from others, sir. That is the reason why Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan mentioned that the best minds in the society, the best people in the society must be attracted to the teaching profession, so that the students will have great people affecting their affective domain, influencing their affective domain. Be impartial. Listen to students with empathy. Sir, very important quality of a human being is empathy, sir. Be empathetic to the fellow beings. Be empathetic to your students. Let the students be empathetic to each other. Let the principal be empathetic to the teachers and students and administrative staff. Let the institution be filled with the culture of empathy. Let the institution nurture empathy. Empathy is a great human quality. When there is empathy, you are able to get connected with the students very well, sir. And students also get connected very well with you, sir. The only quality is, important quality is empathy, sir. Make eye-to-eye contact with every student. Engage in one-to-one with every student. Suppose we are dealing with large classes, 60 students in a class. In every class, we may not be able to engage one-to-one in every class. But in this class, we may engage one-to-one with about 20 students. In next class, another 20 students. We should be conscious of that. In the third class, the third 20 students, by the time 3 classes are over, we have covered all 60 students. Eye-to-eye contact, engaging one-to-one, engaging one-to-one. Especially that is why I advocate tutorial hours. If you have 4 credits course, 3 contact hours, 1 tutorial hour. The tutorial hour the batch will not be more than 25 students. Right? If you are 60 students, let them be divided into 3 batches. 3 different teachers handle them in the tutorial class. Then the contact, engaging one-to-one, the probability of engaging one-to-one is much higher in the tutorial class. Provide secure relationship. That is very important. When the students are sitting in your class, they should be relaxed. They should be secure. They should not have even an iota of fear. Talk to them in pleasant and calm voices. Very important, sir. Talk to them in pleasant and calm voices. Strategies to build positive relationships. Provide opportunities for holistic learning experiences with an inquiry approach, both inside and outside the class. Inclusiveness is taken care of. Help students understand classroom expectations. Redirect the students when they exhibit the challenging behavior. Some students exhibit challenging behavior. In every class, right? Suppose I have taken my first year MSc class. I used to find some students exhibiting challenging behavior. I used to redirect them to some kind of activity. I used to talk to them one-to-one in the laboratory class. I used to talk to them one-to-one, engage them one-to-one in tutorial class. And I build positive relationship with them. Then they will behave very, very nicely. I used to see a total change in their behavior pattern. So in my second year MSc class, not even one student whose behavior is not appropriate. Because they knew me. Already there is connectedness. Therefore, they used to behave excellently in my second year. There is no use of shouting or scolding. Redirect them to some other activity. And when they do the activity well, appreciate them. Then they are happy within themselves. Why do the students exhibit a challenging behavior? Because they are not happy within themselves. They want to draw your attention. Once you redirect them to some activity and appreciate the effort in their activity, sincerely not acting, then there is a change in their psychology. They are happy within themselves. When an individual is happy within himself or herself, their behavior is very, very positive. Encourage the students to listen to others. Listening is a very important and necessary quality of a human being. Listening to others with total attention is very important. We always say students should listen to the teacher. I say yes, students should listen to the teacher. Teacher also should listen to the students. One student should also listen to other students. The quality of listening can be nurtured in colleges and universities. It's a great quality to listen with total attention. Only then you can understand the individual, each one of you. Listening is important among the teachers also. Listen to one with total attention. When I say listening, it includes total attention, not mechanically listening, with total attention. Acknowledge the students for their effort and accomplishments. Always acknowledge. Even a simple thing you acknowledge. Appreciate the deed or activity of the students, but not the students. Then some students do some activity very well, then you appreciate the activity. Yes, this activity is good. This problem solving approach by so and so is commendable, but not the student. Don't say the student is a commendable student. No, that activity is commendable. So what happens? For others, the activity is the model, not the student. Very important. Similarly, condemn the misdeed or mischief of the students and not the students. Please remember, sir. When somebody does a mischief or a misdeed in your class or outside the class, which is in your purview, then you can say definitely, either openly or call him privately and say, this is not acceptable, sir. You cannot disturb the class like this. There is a kind of culture that is expected of every student and every teacher in the colleges. This kind of behavior is not acceptable. You must tell the student. You must not accept every misdeed or misbehavior. You should not as teacher. But at the same time, don't condemn the student. He is useless. Nothing can be expected of him. He is spoiled. Don't use such words. Give him an opportunity to correct himself or herself. That is important. And show the respect to him just because he did a misdeed. Don't have prejudice. Don't have a negative bias about him. You show the same respect. Then he will be positively connected with you. There is a lot of psychology involved in this. Connecting two different minds. Very important. Then everything is in its place. Never laugh at the students' mistakes or failures. Try to understand and help them to rectify their mistakes by themselves. Whether it is in problem, solving a problem, even we may have given a simple problem. Still, he was not able to do it. He committed a blunder, but don't laugh at him. Very important. Don't laugh at others. Even let the students not laugh at others. That kind of culture you encourage in your classroom. Not laughing at others. But very important thing is laughing together about some contextual humor. Contextual humor. Laughing together is important. In every classroom, there can be humor. A classroom without humor is a dry class. Humor is very important, sir. Contextual humor. Laughing together is very important, sir. I'll give you a simple example. When I used to take attendance, some students, they are in their own beautiful world, they do not respond. I don't say anything. I only look at him. Then he will respond. I only look at him. Then immediately he becomes alert and responds suddenly. Yes, sir, like that. Right? So the whole class, including him, laughing together. Right? That is important. Contextual humor is created by the students. That is good. Laughing together is good in the classroom. Adopt a supportive style. A supportive teaching style that allows for student autonomy can foster increased student interest enjoyment, engagement, and performance. Supportive teachers' behaviors include listening, giving hints and encouragement, being responsive to students' questions, and showing empathy for students, nurturing self-worth, a sense of competence and autonomy, give the needed support to differently abled students. Strategies with struggling students. Always you find some struggling students in your classrooms. When students are struggling with poor academic performance, low self-efficacy, or low motivation, one strategy that may help them is to teach them how to learn. That is important. Teaching the students how to learn. Then outline specific strategies for completing an assignment, note-taking, and reviewing for an examination. Scaffolding as a technique. Scaffolding is one instructional technique where the challenge level is gradually raised as the students are capable of more complex tasks. Especially for slow learners, give simple problems first. Part A in the assignment. After they complete those simple problems, they gain confidence. Then let them go to part B, a bit more challenging in the assignment. When they complete part B, a bit more challenging, part C. Like that, challenge level is gradually increased. Then that is what is called scaffolding technique. Students gain self-efficacy by that. And in course of time, they will be able to do very well in the examination or in any test. Always encourage the students to compare with their earlier performance. In the first test, you have done this way. You have performed to this extent. You have got 50% marks. So in the second test, find out yourself what mistakes you have committed in the first test. Improve further. Compare with your earlier performance. Try to get 60% in the second test. In the midterm examination, try to get 65% or 70%. End semester examination, try to get 80%. Good grade. Like that, always encourage them to compare to their earlier performance. But do not compare the students with other students' performance. Tell them often that they should not compare with others' performance. It is in human nature always to compare with others' performance. Advise them, don't compare with others' performance. Your uniqueness is different from his uniqueness. Your strengths are different. You have your own strengths, your own capabilities. Every student is unique in nature. Therefore, don't compare with others. Compare with your earlier performance and realize your potential. That is how you have to advise. You have to counsel the students. How a teacher should not be can be seen in the quote by H.G. Genote, a great teacher. Please reflect upon this. I shall read it for you, but please reflect upon this. How it relates to you as teacher. How it relates to several teachers around you. Blaming and shaming, preaching and moralizing, ordering and bossing, admonishing and accusing, ridiculing and belittling, threatening and braving, diagnosing and prognosing.
Color print.
These techniques brutalize, vulgarize, and dehumanize students. Please reflect upon this. I advise you not to use any of these techniques in your classrooms. Please reflect upon this. You take 1 minute time. Reflection means deeply thinking about this quotation, trying to see its linkage with you as teacher and with the environment around you, how the colleges and universities deal with the students. What is the environment we are living in? Blaming and shaming, preaching and moralizing, ordering and bossing, admonishing and accusing, ridiculing and belittling, threatening and bribing, diagnosing and prognosing. These techniques brutalize, vulgarize, and dehumanize students. Dear friends, I have never used any of these techniques in my 45 years. In fact, I don't use any of these techniques in my relationship with anyone in the world. I advise you not to use any of these techniques with your students. Empathetic relationship with students and effective communication with them are very important attributes of a teacher, and they have a very great impact in the effective domain of learning of the students. I have already discussed empathetic relationship, putting yourself in the place of others and trying to see them, trying to understand them, trying to understand their needs, trying to understand their difficulties. That is empathetic relationship. Being kind to others. Then what is this effective communication? The effective communication needs clarity of thought, clarity of thinking, very important. Command on the language used, appropriate language used, very important. Then human relationship, connectedness with the other student, with the other person with whom you are communicating, connectedness, very important. Clarity of thought, command on language, clarity of thought, command on language, and connectedness with the other person. 3 C's. Clarity, command, connectedness with the students. For effective communication, very important. So you should have clarity of thought. You should have command on English language if it is medium of instruction. The medium of instruction is Hindi, you should have command on the language, Hindi language, so that you can use idiomatic expression. You can use a flow. You know where to pause. Intonation. There are several things. And connectedness, very important. Without connectedness, the other person does not listen to you. Right. So once again, empathetic relationship and effective communication with students are very important attributes of a teacher, and they have a great impact on the effective domain of learning of the students. I'm quoting a great social psychologist, Carl Rogers. Man's inability to communicate is a result of his failure to listen effectively. Man's inability to communicate is a result of his failure to listen effectively. We think we listen, but very rarely do we listen with real understanding, true empathy. Yet, listening of this very special kind is one of the most potent forces for change that I know, Carl Rogers. We think we listen, but very rarely do we listen with real understanding, true empathy. Yet, listening of this very special kind is one of the most potent forces for change that I know, Carl Rogers. I totally agree with Carl Rogers, my experience is in total agreement with the quotation quoted by Carl Rogers. Guidance, counseling, and mentoring of students by teachers is necessary in all the institutions of higher education to deal with student diversity and inclusiveness in higher education. This is not given that much importance as it deserves. Guidance, counseling, and mentoring of students. There should be mentoring of 20 students in a batch by a teacher as a regular activity. Once in a week or once in 2 weeks, the students and the mentor should meet regularly. This is very important, sir, in order to deal with student diversity and inclusive education. Guidance. Guidance means to indicate, to point out, to show the way, to lead and direct. That is the meaning of guidance. To indicate, to point out, to show the way, to lead and direct. There are two kinds of guidance. One is academic guidance. Underperformers in a course need academic guidance, such as clarification of concepts and doubts while dealing with assignments, tips for preparing for the tests, scaffolding, and empathetic communication to improve their self-efficacy. They need your guidance outside the classroom. The teacher may have to stay beyond the institute timings quite often to provide academic guidance to such needy students. Maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes beyond your institute timings, so that the students who have some doubts, clarifications may meet you and get them clarified. That is academic guidance, not mentoring, academic guidance. In most of the courses I taught, during a span of 4 decades, there were no failures at all. I can say with confidence that it was because of the academic guidance I provided to the needy students outside the classroom on a continuous basis. In my first BTech, there used to be students from Sri Lanka. They have not studied chemistry to the level of our +2 students. Their chemistry knowledge is much lower. So what to do? So during the first 1 month, I used to fill the prerequisite knowledge outside the classroom. Otherwise, they are not at par with others. Some basics needed to understand the current course. Therefore, and now and then, or very frequently, some students will come to clarify the doubts or to seek guidance for preparing for the examination, seek guidance for the reference books, for the when the books are not available in the library, their concerns. That is important. That 30 minutes outside the classroom makes a lot of difference to the needy students. Then second kind of guidance is career guidance, which is equally important. It is advisable that one faculty member in a department is equipped with the expertise on career guidance of students and a database regarding the opportunities for further studies, employment opportunities for different academic programs organized by the department may be made available, which is updated every year. This is for career guidance. Very important, sir. The faculty member in charge of career guidance can give a few lectures on different opportunities for further studies, as well as employment opportunities. After listening to those lectures and going through the database, a few students may come to you seeking your further guidance among the shortlisted options by the students. This one-to-one interaction several times will lead to self-discovery of the students about their aptitude and competencies and enable them to take a right decision about their future career. I played a vital role in the career guidance of a large number of my students, and the feedback from them later indicated that it was the right decision taken by them. Counseling. Counseling is a series of direct contacts with the individual which aim to offer him assistance in changing his attitude and behavior. Again, quotation by Carl Rogers. Counseling is a series of direct contacts with the individual which aim to offer him assistance in changing his attitude and behavior. Counseling involves two individuals, one seeking help and the other professionally trained person who can help the other. There should be a relationship of mutual respect and trust between the two individuals. The counselor discovers the problems of the counselee and helps him to set the realistic goals and achieve them. Though professionally trained persons are appointed as counselors in some institutions, I opine that a few teachers in every institution have the natural abilities and expertise developed by interaction with several students of different socio-economic backgrounds, with different problems of adolescence and with different mindsets. Those teachers can develop their expertise further through online courses on counseling. Teachers who are empathetic by nature and have developed the expertise of counseling can function as counselors for a large majority of students in need of counseling. Students will be greatly benefited by the teacher counselor. Only in exceptional cases, when there are some psychological problems, serious psychological problems, only the professionally trained counselor may be of need. Otherwise, teacher counselors can play a great role. My role as a counselor, I played the role of counselor also in several cases in which the students themselves came to me with their problems and seeking my help. Sometimes they knocked at my doors when I was at home and were explaining their problems. All those students did very well later after coming out of the problems, some of which are the perceived problems. They are not real problems, perceived problems. In all the counseling sessions, I understood that most of us need someone who is well informed and matured enough to listen to us with concern and give realistic advice by putting themselves in our place. Even the faculty need counseling. Every one of us needs counseling at one point or other in our lives. That is very, very important. So the faculty should have a very good understanding among themselves. They should cooperate with each other in every aspect. So then 1 + 1 becomes 11, right? Their efficiency, if two teachers teach a course with greater cooperation among themselves, exchange of ideas, then 1 + 1, the efficiency becomes equal to 11, which is beyond arithmetic calculation. Mentoring. Now I shall explain mentoring after explaining guidance and counseling. Mentoring relationship is a close individual relationship that develops over a time between a student and a faculty member, and that includes both caring and guidance. Hall defines mentoring as an intentional relationship focused on developing self of relatively unseasoned prodigy, that is student, through dialogue and reflection. The primary function of such relationship is to develop the prodigy's learning capacity by transmitting knowledge, organizational culture, wisdom, and experiences. These 4 are the mentoring components. What are the 4 mentoring components, sir? Knowledge, the teacher's knowledge. Organizational culture, very important, sir. Students need a good culture of organizing themselves in completing the tasks, the assignments, preparing for the tests and all that. Organizational culture, transmitting knowledge, organizational culture, wisdom, and experiences. These 4 are the mentoring components. This is the reference from which I have taken. My experience as mentor, several students of mine at UG, PG and PhD levels chose me as a mentor in its true sense. The mentor-mentee relationship continued beyond their graduation also in a few cases. During our interaction, so many times, all the four mentoring components, namely knowledge, culture, wisdom, and experiences were shared. Both the mentee and mentor were greatly benefited. Career guidance, counseling, and mentoring of students are given weightage for accreditation of the institutions of higher education by National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC, and for the accreditation of individual academic programs by National Board of Accreditation, NBA. Mentoring system in institutions of higher education, a few guidelines. These guidelines will be useful for the institutions to carry out mentoring in a systematic manner. The number of mentees assigned to mentor may be to a maximum of 20, not more than 20. The mentor may be one of the teachers of the school. The mentor-mentee relationship may be for a minimum period of 1 year and may be continued up to graduation of the student if the student wishes so. When the students join an academic program, the department which offers the program will assign a group of 20 students to the same mentor for a period of 1 year. From second year onwards, the choice of the student may also be taken into consideration while assigning a mentor. In the case of BTech programs, it is preferable that during the first year, one of the teachers of the students may be assigned as mentor. From second year onwards, one of the teachers of the student's discipline, major discipline, may be assigned as mentor. This is very important, so that there may be more connected. The frequency of meeting of mentor-mentees may be once in a fortnight. Once in a fortnight, that is the minimum. Some colleges maintain once in a week, that is still better, but minimum is once in a fortnight. And the dates and time may be scheduled without any prejudice to the normal academic schedule. I always advise once afternoon slot, you keep it free. Don't have any timetable. Don't have any classes, any lab class or anything class, one afternoon. So that can be used for mentoring. Another time that can be used for career guidance. Another slot, another time it can be used for external experts, lectures by external academicians or researchers. That slot can be effectively used. Right? Please provide one slot in the afternoon vacant for all other activities other than your academic subjects. Very important. The differently abled students can be part of different groups. That is inclusiveness. They should not be segregated. It's a good practice to provide a slot for mentor-mentee meetings in the timetable. The outcome of interaction of the meetings may be recorded in the form of a report in a template designed by the institute for the purpose. The problems faced by the mentees may be immediately brought to the notice of the concerned and addressed appropriately. The action taken report may be included in the report of the next meeting. The record containing discussions and outcome of the mentor-mentee meetings and the redressal of these issues forms the evidence. This record forms the evidence for the weightage by NBA or NAC. For any activity, whatever you do, you record it. That record is important. Whether you do the innovations to address the student diversity and inclusiveness, whether you carry out guidance, counseling, and mentoring activities, and how the students are benefited, everything please record. I call that as teacher's portfolio. All the experiences of the teacher in teaching, in guiding, in counseling, and mentoring of the students, all experiences are recorded there. Experiences, how the students are benefited by a particular activity. The teacher's portfolio must be given due weightage by the institutions in promotions and in selections. Very important. Teachers' portfolios are considered in other universities abroad as very, very important in promotions. It is necessary that every faculty member in higher education involves himself or herself in academic and career guidance, counseling and mentoring of a few students every year. Here, his or her contribution in all these must be given due weightage in selections or promotions to higher positions. Conclusion: if a teacher is able to provide a congenial learning environment with an inquiry approach and nurture his or her students to realize their full potential and live in harmony with all existence, it gives meaning and fulfillment to the life of the teacher. Only such teachers can do justice in meeting the challenges of student diversity and inclusiveness in higher education. My tributes to such great teachers. I wish that all of you become such great teachers in course of time. Thank you very much. Question answer session. Questions, please.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Yeah, sir, good evening. This is Sanjeev
Good
Dongre
evening.
here.
Very good evening.
I don't have the question, but I will like to know if you can share your study on the corrosion. If you don't mind, of course.
Pardon?
If you can share your study on corrosion
Yeah.
of the structures, corrosion of the buildings.
Yeah. You want me to present again?
No. If you can share me either on the group or if you can, I can give my email address if it is all right with you.
You can go through my what is called my channel, Professor B.V. Aparo channel
Acha, on YouTube?
in YouTube.
Acha.
YouTube. There are two lectures. One is on galvanic corrosion, and another is on corrosion due to differential aeration cells.
Okay, sir, I'll go through it.
Yeah, please go through those two videos.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah. And there is corrosion. There are several books on corrosion. Introduction to Corrosion by Ulig.
Okay.
Then Introduction to Corrosion Engineering by Green and Fontana.
Okay.
These two books are very good books on teaching corrosion for undergraduate students.
Okay, sir.
Whether it is metallurgical engineering or chemical engineering or chemistry, mechanical engineering students. Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Nice presentation, sir. This is Dr. Anuradha Man, sir.
Yeah. Please
Nice
ask me your question. Please ask me your question.
Sir, I think everything is understood.
Everything is understood. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Dr. Godse, sir, you told everything very nicely, but there is one question in my mind.
Yeah.
When should your students should be punished, or there should not be any punishment for any misdeeds by a student?
It's a good question. I shall answer you. Before I answer you, please go through my video lecture on.
Okay, I go to that.
Is there any role of reward and punishment in learning? Is there any role of reward and punishment in learning? Actually, that was one of my YouTube lectures, which is received very well. I do not believe in punishment. I have not punished. Maybe I may have taught about 8,000 or 9,000 students in my career at BTech level, BSc level, MSc level, MTech level. Even MTech also I taught several branches: metallurgical engineering, electronics, analytical instrumentation, mechanical engineering, advanced service coatings, etc. So I have never even scolded them also, not punishment, never scolded them. There was no need at all for me because of the positive relationship, because of the counseling, guidance, and mentoring, there was no need at all. I don't believe in reward and punishment. I see that there is no role of reward and punishment in learning. Both are bad, reward as well as punishment, right? So on the other hand, intrinsic motivation, self-motivation, your strategies, your teaching learning strategies always try to motivate the students towards learning, try to change their value domain, their effective domain of learning. There is no need for any kind of punishment or any kind of, even there was no occasion when I looked at them with anger. I was not even angry with my students, never. It never occurred.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There is no need, provided we are equipped with the mastery of knowledge, provided we are equipped with good pedagogical practices, provided we are equipped with the two important attributes. One is empathetic relationship and effective communication. Empathetic relationship and effective communication. These two do wonders with your students. The students will be so well connected with you, then they will love you more than their parents. This is, I am telling you with experience. Right? I'll quote one example. About 30 years or 32 years ago, one of my students in BSc, he telephoned to me, and then during the conversation, he was doing very well. He is doing very well in a good company, in a good position. I was surprised to listen from him. He was an underperformer during the first semester of BSc. It seems that I appreciated his effort in one of the problem solving. Then it improved his self-efficacy. He started believing in himself. Then he tried to improve. I always try to tell my students, you try to compare your earlier performance, find out where you have done mistakes. You can do better, always encouraging. In the second semester, he improved further. Third semester, he improved still further because of this empathetic relationship and effective communication, guidance, counseling, and mentoring. Then ultimately in the final year, he got the gold medal, first rank. This is only one example. I can give hundreds of examples of such students who are considered to be underperformer by my colleagues, but they excelled. They excelled. So appreciation is the key to a healthy teacher-student relationship, definitely. Appreciation of their effort. You see, they may not have solved the problem very correctly, but they have done the effort. You appreciate the effort. The problem may be wrong, but solution, they may not have got the correct solution, but they have done the effort. Effort is important. You appreciate always the effort. Then today they may not have solved the problem correctly, but tomorrow they will be solving problem excellent. Right.
Sir, I got your lectures. Sir, I got your lectures.
Yeah. Okay.
YouTube, I searched for it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Actually, I must tell you, those two lectures were a part of assignment done by me as a participant in the FDP program organized by IIT Bombay. They asked me to prepare 2 videos and submit as a form of assignment. I had to do at least 5 to 6 rehearsals. Those were my first videos, right? So after that, I could submit in the night at about 11 p.m. I submitted as assignment those 2 videos.
Okay. Sweet memories.
Yeah, sweet memories. Yeah. So in many, I organized many workshops in which I was the organizer and I was also the participants for some of the lectures by resource persons. I was the organizer, and I was also participant for some of the lectures by resource persons, because there is no end to learning. So it will
Agree
be
with you.
great interest to learn to the colleagues and see the best of their knowledge.
Agree, sir.
So in the process of now giving lecture, there is a lot of learning in me simultaneously by the questions the participants ask. I am greatly benefited. I learn continuous basis, on a continuous basis. Any questions, please?
So myself, Dr. Nileshwari, just I would like to have a curiosity about some like a pedagogical style, which you already reflected. Just I would like to know, as per my experience, I'm a defense faculty over here, but our student strength is not like a regular students. They have an experience of 25 to 30 years of experience, having a decorated service officers and all, and they are all from the different background. That means from the civil or electronics or electrical or like maintenance department or somewhere in the commanding office in the defense and all. So for such type of the things like a ego or attitude, we need to unwinding them and then winding towards the academic deliberations. Then what is your experience says how to handle such type of the students? Because right now I'm doing the very I am satisfied with my pedagogy and all. Just like to know your deliberations on particularly on such of the crowd where sometimes because of the seniority they may feel ki everything we know, then what to learn over here, but academic something different. So could you
it's a very good question. It's a wonderful question. Actually, you are facing another dimension of diverse learners, which normally many teachers do not face. Adult learners, which are in their service already and different backgrounds. So it's a great challenge you are facing. So the best thing I would advise you is to find out the experiences, the learning experiences matching to their interests. They have diverse backgrounds. So based on their backgrounds, what are the experiences you quote as examples during the first few minutes? So that makes all the difference. That makes all the difference. We try to give our experiences always, but you give the students' learning experiences based on their background. You get those examples from open educational resources, and then you start your lecture based on that, and then involve them in the discussion and ask them about their learning, their experiences. So you involve them. That means it's a kind of dialogue. When you deal with the adult learners, a very senior professors, it's a kind of dialogue. For example, this online class, we are learning together. That is the kind of feeling I always try to give to my participants. We are investigating together. We are learning together. Maybe I am a little more informed when compared to the participants. So that kind of a dialogue approach, and then making it lecture more interactive with, doesn't matter, even it takes more time in the first few classes. Take the experiences of the audience, the learners, then that will be advantage. You can take it as your advantage, the diverse learners. That is the approach.
I really appreciate your words and suggestions, Yuval. The irony is that during the discussion of the pedagogical throughout the semester, that would be very fine. Matlab, we are mingling with each other very nicely. We can have a audio video sessions like a management games we matlab, we used to play and all.
Yeah.
But the moment examinations comes, then they have to write themselves on the paper. They cannot say that I am a higher officer and I need to get the more marks. That was the irony for me actually. And they are expecting the, yes, we are officers, so that we need a lot of marks. How the civilians can get the more marks than they. But I used to say ki, everything should be on the paper, then only I abide to give the marks, then only. The situation makes a little bit of chaos.
Actually,
sometimes
there also the examination system, the examination mode has to be changed. The assessment mode has to be changed. You give them case studies, analysis of case studies. You give them problems, not the theory questions which they have to read and reproduce and all that. The pattern of examination has to be different from the examination which we use for other routine young learners. That has to be changed. That can be revisited. In management programs, for example, in European countries, European universities, where my son studied MBA, there just one case study they give as a home assignment. Like that, a few case studies they give. Different case studies for different students. Right? That itself, their analysis of case studies and solutions, that is assessment, that's all. So the conventional mode of assessment is not valid for adult learners, especially when the officers, executives are there. So for example, some universities offer executive management programs for working professionals. The mode of assessment should be different from the mode of assessment which we normally use in our colleges and universities. Right? So that is very, very important. Mode of assessment matters. So even mode of assessment, you can have a dialogue with the learners. What are all the possible modes of assessment? Let there be a discussion. Then out of the discussion, you can come out with the different modes of assessment. So it is agreed upon by the participants and you, different modes of assessment. So then that is what I do cleverly very often, even while fixing the class test. Class test is in our hands in NIT Warangal. 2 class sets, we can decide the date, even examination conducting completely in our hands. So the class test date and the examination pattern, I used to discuss with my students and freeze it after discussion. So even the date also is freezed after discussing with them because it is a class test. So in advance, we used to discuss. So even the examination pattern also, I used to say, sometimes it is open book examination. You go to the library and solve it. So open book examination is one of the best strategies for adult learners. You give all problems there, all case studies there, no theory question. So after understanding the subject, then only they will be able to answer. That is one strategy. There are several strategies. See, only thing is we have to be open-minded. There is nothing which is very sacred. This has to be followed strictly. The flexibility is the key, especially when you deal with the executives in offering the management courses or some other courses. That is very important. Your college rule, institution rules should not come in your way of being more flexible for such programs. You can have separate guidelines for such programs offered to the executives. Not the same guidelines, same rules and regulations to the young learners. need not be applicable to the executives who join your programs. Right? This is my viewpoint.
Rightly noted, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Other questions, please. Very good questions. I have really enjoyed. Very good questions. I don't like preparing statements.
One question in chat box, sir.
Problems how to record. You see, recording the mentoring activities, if you don't like to prepare the statements, you have a format. You have a template, right? So in the template, it can be filled. Only once you prepare the statements, etc., then let one of your students be a reporter. A reporter. Reporter means he will record the proceedings of the mentor-mentees meeting. So that will serve your purpose, right? But recording the mentor-mentee meetings outcome, the action taken report, all those are very important. You see, you have done so much work. Unless you record, there is no evidence for your work. So the NBA on NEP, when they come for accreditation, always they seek the evidence. They ask you for the evidence. Therefore, recording is very, very important. Any other questions, please? Yeah. You can ask the questions by unmuting yourself, or you can ask the questions in the chat box.
Yes, participants, is there any more questions?
Next, more questions. There are very good questions in this session. I expect more questions. See, your questions will give me an opportunity to reflect upon and challenge me to give my best. Only through questions you can get the best of me. Yeah, yes, please. You can ask me in Hindi also, but I shall explain in English. I can understand Hindi also. What should be the proportion of each of the domains of learning? It's an excellent question. It's an excellent question. What should be the proportion of each domain of learning? There is a cognitive domain. You see, it is in the ratio of affective domain permeates all through. Affective domain is completely involved in your teaching learning process. But when you design the curriculum, cognitive domain versus psychomotor domain can be in the ratio of 70:30. Cognitive domain and psychomotor domain can be in the ratio of 70:30. And affective domain is there. When you deal with cognitive domain, affective domain must be there. Teacher-student relationship must be there. When you deal with psychomotor domain, also affective domain is there. Affective domain permeates throughout teaching learning process. But cognitive and psychomotor domain, the proportion varies from one discipline to other discipline. In engineering and science, perhaps the ratio may be 60:40. But when it comes to humanities, the ratio of humanities and social sciences, the ratio may be 80:20. It varies from discipline to discipline of knowledge in higher education. But affective domain permeates throughout. Affective domain exists in the teaching, learning, and assessment process, whether it is cognitive domain or psychomotor domain, both involve affective domain. It's a very good question, sir. Very good. Other questions, please.
Sir, one more question in chat box regarding the Bloom's taxonomy.
Yeah, Bloom's taxonomy. There are 6 levels in the Bloom's taxonomy, revised Bloom's taxonomy. The lowest level is remember level. Next higher level is the understand. Next higher level is apply. Next higher level is analyze. Next higher level is evaluate. Next higher level is create. There are 6 levels. There is a hierarchy in the levels of learning. But when you write the course outcomes, in the first year of learning, undergraduation, you go to only up to analyze level. Don't go beyond. Evaluate level and create level are possible in all the projects. And also in higher level courses, maybe in 3rd year courses, you can have evaluate level and create level. Actually, revised Bloom's taxonomy is the basis for curriculum design. You can go through my channel. There are 3 videos: learning outcomes based curriculum framework, part 1, part 2, part 3. In the part 1, learning outcomes based curriculum framework, part 1 and part 2, I have discussed Bloom's taxonomy of learning levels and how to formulate the course outcomes, guidelines, etc. I have also had another video on how to formulate course outcomes, guidelines. So you can go through that. There also I have discussed the revised Bloom's taxonomy, that is at the cognitive, especially at the cognitive level. Right. Revised Bloom's taxonomy is the basis. Without that, you cannot design the curriculum. You cannot design a course.
Yes, participant, is there any more questions? If
Other
there are
questions, please.
questions, then we will conclude.
Very good question.
Sir, I think there are no more questions, sir.
Okay. Okay, you can, we can.
Sir, before we conclude, can we
Yeah.
get little idea about the assessment tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. We will first conclude the session and then I will give the instructions. Okay, ma'am? Okay.
Okay, sir.
So, sir, shall we conclude, sir? Professor Apparao, sir.
Yes, we can conclude.
So, on behalf of the Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center, Sant Gadge Baba, Amravati University, I extend my sincere and heartfelt gratitude to Professor Divi Apparao, sir, for being with us, enlighten us, and motivate us towards this concept of student diversity and inclusive education. Friends, as the National Education Policy has objected to achieve the gross enrollment ratio up to 50% by 2035, and to achieve this goal, it is very challenging issues because in a country like India, there are various diversities in each state and each part of our state, and to to make the education more inclusive, it is very challengeable things, but we have to achieve that goal in a various way. And this fundamental of this student diversity and inclusive education is one of the part that we can while we can including this in our curricula, in our educational institute, we can change our approaches. We can really achieve that goals of GER up to 50%. Sir has provided the expertise, sir, really expertise and insightful towards achieving this goal, and really experiences matters, because depending upon the experience of Professor Apparao, sir, over a period of 4.5 decades, sir has very clearly give the insightful how should make the education more inclusive. Sir, really we can inculcate this your inputs in our educational institute, and make education more inclusive, so that the end of the student, whatever maybe the student they have at the end and they are not included in our higher education system, in future they may be included in the higher education system in the mode of regular learning, either ODL learning or the online learning. Not if it is possible online learning, then there will be a distance and lifelong learning concept and extension concept. And definitely, sir, we are tried out our best to achieve this goal by including all kind of student in our HEI. So on behalf of Malve Mission Teacher Training Center, I again extend my heartfelt gratitude towards Professor Apparao sir for providing such a beautiful and insightful session and guiding us and motivate us towards the adoption of this inclusive education. And I am also thankful to all the participants for such a wonderful interaction and asking nice questions. Because friends, the ultimate aim of this flagship program is not to provide the documentation or not to provide some kind of lectures. It is the main objective of this program to bring a participation in a brainstorming session and a panel discussion. And really today we are luckily happy because such kind of batch and participants are there. They are continuously engaged in these sessions. So we are really thankful to you. And with the kind concept of Professor Apparao sir, I would like to declare that this session will be over here. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
I thank all the participants and wish them all the best in their future endeavors, and especially the best in the teaching profession. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And participants are stay back.